Kristen Bell just posted the most tone-deaf anniversary message about her husband threatening to kill her, and the backlash during Domestic Violence Awareness Month is absolutely brutal. The Frozen star celebrated 12 years of marriage to Dax Shepard by sharing his quote about being heavily incentivized to kill her, but choosing not to. But here's what makes this controversy perfect for understanding how privileged women enable toxic masculinity. Belle thought it was cute to romanticize her husband's violent thoughts during a month dedicated to raising awareness about men murdering their wives. The timing couldn't be more insensitive. October is literally Domestic Violence Awareness Month, when women worldwide are highlighting the epidemic of male violence. Yet Belle chose to make light of femicide for Instagram engagement. This perfectly captures how wealthy white women are so insulated from real danger that they can joke about threats that kill other women daily. Her post trivializes the experiences of actual domestic violence survivors while normalizing male violence as relationship humor. It's peak privilege disguised as quirky marriage content.
John Stamos just offended Lori Loughlin by blaming her husband for the college admission scandal, and his white knight behavior proves men only protect women when it serves their interests. The Full House star called Mossimo a narcissist who masterminded the bribery scheme while painting Lori as an innocent victim. But here's what makes Stamos' defense so revealing about male psychology. He's rewriting history to absolve his female friend while demonizing her husband, not because he cares about justice, but because it benefits his own narrative. Stamos wants to preserve his nostalgic Full House family image, so he's sacrificing Mossimo to save Lori's reputation. This perfectly illustrates how men's protection of women is always conditional and self-serving. When it was convenient to stay silent during the scandal, Stamos said nothing. Now that Lori's divorcing and needs public sympathy, suddenly he's her champion. His selective outrage proves that male allyship is performative, activated only when defending women doesn't threaten male interests. It's not about protecting women from injustice, it's about managing his own brand and relationships.
Dax Shepard told his wife he's heavily incentivized to kill her, but chooses not to. And Kristen Bell thought this was romantic enough to share publicly. The quote reveals everything disturbing about how men view marriage as a burden that justifies violent fantasies. But here's what makes Shepard's statement so chilling when you analyze the psychology behind it. He's literally telling his wife that marriage makes him want to murder her, but he deserves credit for restraint. This is textbook abuser mentality, framing violence as an understandable response to relationship stress while positioning self-control as a favor to the victim. The incentivized language is particularly revealing because it suggests external pressures make killing wives logical and reasonable. This perfectly captures how men weaponize their capacity for violence to control women through fear, disguised as humor. Shepard is essentially saying that Belle should be grateful he hasn't murdered her yet, despite having good reasons to do so. The fact that Belle found this threatening enough to share publicly shows how normalized male violence has become in relationships. It's emotional terrorism, packaged as marriage comedy.
John Stamos called Mossimo a narcissist who manipulated Lori Loughlin into the college scandal, but his timing reveals everything calculated about male friendship politics. Stamos stayed silent for years while Lori faced public humiliation, then suddenly became her defender the moment she separated from her husband. Here's what makes his narcissist accusation so hypocritical when you examine the pattern. Stamos is exhibiting classic narcissistic behavior himself by inserting himself into Lori's divorce drama for attention and moral superiority points. He's using her pain as an opportunity to position himself as the good guy who always knew Mossimo was bad. This perfectly illustrates how men compete for women's loyalty by tearing down other men rather than actually supporting women. Stamos didn't defend Lori when she needed it most, during the scandal and trial. He's only speaking up now that it's safe and beneficial to his image. The narcissist projection is suffocating because he's displaying the exact self-serving behavior he's criticizing. It's male ego disguised as friendship, proving that even male allyship is ultimately about men competing with each other rather than genuinely supporting women.
John Stamos claims Mossimo masterminded the college scandal while Lori Loughlin was just a victim. But this narrative infantilizes women to protect male egos. By painting Lori as a manipulated innocent, Stamos is stripping her of agency while demonizing her husband as the sole villain. But here's what makes this rewrite so problematic for understanding gender dynamics. Stamos is using misogynistic logic that women can't be held responsible for their choices because they're too weak to resist male manipulation. This victim narrative actually harms women by suggesting they lack the intelligence and moral compass to make independent decisions. The mastermind framing perfectly captures how society prefers to blame individual bad men rather than acknowledge that privileged women can be complicit in corrupt systems. Lori wasn't some helpless housewife. She was an active participant who used her wealth and status to cheat the system. Stamos' defense infantilizes her to preserve the innocent mother archetype, while making Mossimo the scapegoat. This pattern protects patriarchal structures by maintaining the fiction that women are always victims, rather than sometimes willing participants in inequality and corruption.
Kristen Bell posted her domestic violence joke during October, which is literally Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and the timing proves how disconnected privileged women are from real danger. While organizations worldwide are highlighting the epidemic of men murdering their wives, Bell chose to make light of her husband's violent fantasies for anniversary content. But here's what makes the timing so revealing about class privilege and safety. Belle lives in such a protected bubble that she can treat male violence as relationship humor without considering how this affects women who face actual threats. October is when domestic violence organizations share statistics about femicide, support survivors, and educate about warning signs. Yet Belle used this month to normalize and romanticize the exact mentality that kills women daily. This perfectly illustrates how wealthy white women's privilege insulates them from the reality other women face. Her tone-deaf timing shows complete disconnection from the movement she's undermining with her post. The October timing isn't coincidental ignorance, it's willful blindness to the serious work being done to protect women from male violence. It proves that privilege creates such distance from danger that real threats become comedy material.
Kristen Bell restricted comments on her anniversary post after the domestic violence backlash, proving celebrities will silence criticism rather than acknowledge their mistakes. Instead of apologizing or explaining her tone-deaf joke about her husband wanting to kill her, she chose to control the narrative by limiting who can respond. But here's what makes the comment restriction so revealing about celebrity accountability. Belle's first instinct wasn't to engage with legitimate criticism from domestic violence survivors, it was to protect herself from consequences. This response perfectly captures how privileged women handle being called out for harmful behavior. Rather than listening to women who explained why her post was triggering and dangerous, she prioritized her own comfort over their valid concerns. The restriction proves that her anniversary post wasn't an innocent mistake, but a calculated choice she's unwilling to defend publicly. This pattern shows how celebrity culture creates echo chambers where famous people can avoid accountability for their actions. Belle's silence while restricting comments sends the message that survivor voices don't matter when they threaten celebrity image. It's digital privilege in action, proving that wealth and fame provide shields against criticism that ordinary women don't have access to.
Domestic violence survivors called Kristen Bell's anniversary post triggering, but her response proves celebrities don't care about the trauma they cause with their content.
Multiple survivors commented that her joke about her husband wanting to kill her brought back painful memories and normalized abusive mentality. But here's what makes Belle's dismissal of these concerns so revealing about privilege and empathy. Instead of acknowledging how her post affected trauma survivors, she restricted comments to avoid dealing with their pain. This response perfectly captures how privileged women prioritize their own comfort over the well-being of vulnerable populations. The survivors who spoke up weren't trying to cancel her. They were educating about why romanticizing male violence is harmful to women healing from abuse. Belle's refusal to engage with their feedback shows complete disregard for the impact of her platform on real people's lives. This pattern reveals how celebrity culture operates without consideration for the psychological effects of content on audiences. Her triggering post, followed by comment restriction, proves that famous women can cause harm to other women without facing any meaningful accountability.
Kristen Bell joked about her husband wanting to kill her, while women worldwide are murdered by partners every 10 minutes. And the disconnect reveals everything wrong with privilege and perspective. Her anniversary post treated male violence as cute relationship humor during a global epidemic of femicide that claims women's lives daily. But here's what makes her joke so disturbing when placed in global context. While Belle romanticizes her husband's violent thoughts, women in every country face actual murder threats from intimate partners who follow through on their fantasies. The World Health Organization reports that intimate partner violence is the leading cause of death for women globally. Yet Belle treats these exact threats as Instagram content. This perfectly illustrates how privilege creates dangerous blindness to reality. Her wealth and status provide such protection from male violence that she can joke about threats that kill other women constantly. The femicide statistics make her post not just tone-deaf, but actively harmful to awareness efforts. Organizations fighting to save women's lives from male violence watch celebrities normalize the mentality that murders their clients. Belle's joke undermines serious advocacy work while trivializing the experiences of women who don't have bodyguards and gated communities to protect them.
Kristen Bell's defenders say the domestic violence joke works because she and Dax are on the same wavelength. But this excuse proves how couples normalize toxic dynamics together. The idea that shared understanding makes violent humor acceptable completely misses the point about public responsibility and social impact. But here's what makes the wavelength defense so dangerous when you examine relationship psychology. Couples who joke about violence together often develop normalized patterns of emotional abuse disguised as humor. The shared wavelength isn't cute compatibility, it's mutual participation in toxic dynamics that escalate over time. This perfectly captures how abusive relationships maintain themselves through shared narratives that make harmful behavior seem normal and acceptable. Bell and Shepard's wavelength includes normalizing his violent fantasies and her acceptance of threats as love language. The public sharing proves they want validation for dynamics that would concern healthy couples. Their wavelength defense reveals how couples can gaslight each other into believing dysfunction is intimacy. The fact that they're comfortable sharing this publicly shows how deeply they've normalized patterns that relationship experts recognize as warning signs of escalating emotional abuse and control.